Al-Qur'an, Chapter 18. Praise be to God who sent down the book to his servant and did not make it crooked. Upright, to warn of severe punishment from him, and to give glad tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds, that they will have a good reward. Staying in it forever. And he warns those who say, God has taken a son. They have no knowledge of it, nor do their fathers have a word that comes out of their mouth. They say nothing but a falsehood. Perhaps you will kill yourself in their footsteps if they do not believe in this message out of regret. We have made what is on earth an adornment for it, that we may test them as to which of them is best indeed. Indeed, we will make what is on it bare ground. Or did you think that the people of the cave and the inscription were among our signs a wonder? When the youths took refuge in the cave, they said, Our Lord, grant us mercy from yourself, and provide us with guidance in our affairs. So we closed their ears in the cave for a number of years. Then we sent them to know which of the two parties counted the time they had stayed. We relate to you their story with truth, that they were young men who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance. And we bound their hearts when they stood up and said, Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We will not call on any deity besides him, else we would have gone too far. These are our people who have taken gods besides him, only that they have not brought clear authority over them. Who is more unjust than he who invents a falsehood against God? And when you withdraw from them and what they worship except God, then seek refuge in the cave. Your Lord will spread off his mercy for you and prepare for you an ease in your affairs. And you see the sun, when it rises, turning away from their cave to the right, and when it sets, turning away from them to the left, and they are in a gap from it. That is from the signs of God. Whoever God guides, then he is the one who is rightly guided, and whoever he leads astray, you will not find a guardian for him to guide. And you think they are awake while they are asleep, and we turn them to the right and to the left, and their dog stretched out his arms with the hunt. If you look at them, you would have fled from them, and you would have been filled with terror from them. And thus we sent them to inquire among themselves. Some among them said, How long did you stay? They said, We stayed a day or part of a day. They said, Your Lord knows best how long you stayed. So send one of you with this coin of yours to Medina, and let him see which food is purer, and let him bring your provision from it, and let him be kind and not make anyone aware of you. If they appear against you, they will stone you or return you in their religion, and you will never succeed. And thus we caused them to know that God's promise is true, and that for the hour there is no doubt about it. When they disputed among themselves about their matter, so they said, Build a building over them, their Lord knows best about them. Those who prevailed over their matter said, We will certainly make a place of worship over them. They will say 3, the fourth of them is their dog, and they will say 5, the sixth of them is their dog, guessing about the unseen. And they will say 7, and the eighth of them is their dog. Say, My Lord knows best their number, only a few know them, so do not argue about them except with an outward argument, and do not ask anyone about them. And do not say of anything that I will do that tomorrow. Except if God wills, and remember your Lord if you forget, and say, Perhaps my Lord will guide me closer than this to righteousness. And they stayed in their cave for 300 years, and they added 9. Say, God knows best how long they have remained. God knows best what is in the unseen of the heavens and the earth, and here what they have besides him for a guardian, and he does not share anyone in his judgment. and recite what has been revealed to you from the book of your Lord. There is no altering of his words, and you will not find refuge besides him. And keep yourself patient with those who call upon their Lord morning and evening, desiring his countenance, and turn your eyes away from them, desiring the adornment of the life of this world, and do not obey him whose heart we have made heedless of our remembrance, and who follows his desires, and his affair is excessive. And say, the truth is from your Lord, so whoever wills, let him believe, and whoever wills, let him disbelieve. Indeed, we have prepared for the wrongdoers a fire, whose canopies will surround them, and if they cry for help, they will be given water like molasses, which will scald the faces. What an evil drink and ill-fitted! Those who believe and do righteous deeds, we do not waste the reward of the best deed. Those for them are gardens of Eden with rivers flowing beneath them, in which they will be adorned with bracelets of gold, and they will wear green garments of silk and brocade, reclining in them on couches. Yes, the reward is well provided. And present to them the example of two men. We made for one of them 2 gardens of grapevines, and we surrounded them with palm trees, and between them we placed crops. Both gardens yielded their fruit and did not darken anything from it. And a river gushed through them. And he had fruits, so he said to his companion while he was conversing with him, I am more than you in money and mightier in people. And he entered his garden while he was unjust to himself. He said, I do not think that this will ever perish. And I do not think the hour will come, and if I am returned to my Lord, I will find a better return than it. His companion said to him while he was conversing with him, Do you believe in him who created you from dust, then from a sperm drop, then molded you into a man? But he is our God, my Lord, and I do not associate anyone with my Lord. And only if, when you entered your vineyard, you would have said, God willing, there is no power except with God. If you think I am less than you in wealth and children, perhaps my Lord will give you something better than your garden and send calamities on it from the sky, so it becomes slippery, or its water becomes hollow, and you will not be able to seek it. And his fruit was surrounded by ruin, so he flipped his palms over when he spent on it, and it is totally empty. And he says, I wish I had not associated anyone with my Lord. And he had no group to help him besides God, and he was not victorious. There is the guardianship of God, the truth is the best reward and the best outcome. And present to them the parable of the life of the world as water we sent down from the sky, then the plants of the earth mixed with it, and it became dry, scattered by the winds, and God has power over all things. Money and children are the adornment of the life of this world, and the enduring good deeds are better with your Lord for reward and better for hope. And the day when we will move the mountains, and you will see the earth prominent, and we will gather them, and we will not leave any of them behind. And then presented themselves to your Lord in ranks, you have come to us as we created you the first time. Nay, you claimed that we would not make a date for you. And the book was set up, and you see the criminals fearful of what is in it. And they say, Oh, woe to us! What does this book leave out, neither small nor great, except that it takes full account of them? And they find what they did present, and your Lord does not wrong anyone. And when we said to the angels, Prostrate before Adam, so they prostrated, except for Iblis. He was of the jinn, and he disobeyed the command of his Lord, and his offsprings are guardians without me, and they are your worst enemy for the wrongdoers instead. I did not make them witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor the creation of themselves. And I did not take the misguided as a supporter. And on the day when he will say, Call out to my associates who you claimed, then they called them, but they did not respond to them, and we made between them a punishment. And the criminals saw the fire, so they certainly fell in it, and they did not find a way out of it. And we have dealt in this Quran for people from every example, and the human being is the most controversial thing. And nothing prevented people from believing when guidance came to them and asking forgiveness from their Lord, except that the custom of the ancients should come to them, or that the punishment should come to them before. And we do not send the messengers except as glad tidings and warnings. And those who disbelieve argue with falsehood in order to refute the truth with it, and they took my signs and what they were warned about in jest. And who is more unjust than he who is reminded of the verses of his Lord, then he turns away from them and forgets what his hands have sent forward? Indeed, we have placed veils over their hearts that they may not understand it, and in their ears deafness. And if you invite them to guidance, then they will never be guided. And your Lord is the forgiving, possessor of mercy. If he had called them to account for what they had earned, he would have hastened the punishment for them. Rather, they have an appointment besides which they will not find a refuge. And those villages we destroyed them when they were wronged, and we set a date for their destruction. And when Moses said to his young man, I will not leave until I reach the assembly of the two seas, or I will keep on going for more time. When they reached a gathering between two seas, they forgot their veil, so it took its way into the sea as a flock. When they passed, he said to his girl, Bring us our lunch. We have received much fatigue from this journey of ours. He said, Did you see that when we took refuge on the rock, I forgot the veil, and only Satan made me forget it, and I mentioned it, and it took its way into the sea in wonder. He said, We wanted that. So they returned their footsteps with stories. And they found a servant of our servants to whom we had given mercy from us, and taught him knowledge from us. Moses said to him, May I follow you, given that you will teach me from what you have learned rightly? He said, You will not be able to be patient with me. And how would you be patient with what you do not understand? He said, God willing, you will find me patient, and I will not disobey you. He said, If you follow me, do not ask me about anything until I mention it to you. So they set off until when they boarded the ship, he tore it open, and he said, Did you tore it to drown its people? Have you come to do something bitter? He said, Did I not say that you will not be able to be patient with me? He said, Do not blame me for what I forgot, and do not burden me with difficulty in my affairs. So they set off until they met a boy whom he killed. He said, Have you killed a pure soul who killed no one? You have done something reprehensible. He said, Did I not tell you that you will not be able to have patience with me? He said, If I ask you about something after this, remove me from your company, for I have conveyed my excuse. So they set out until when they came to the people of a village. They asked its people for food, but they refused to host them, and they found therein a wall that was about to fall down. So he erected it. He said, If you wanted, you would have taken a reward for this. He said, This is a separation between you and me. I will tell you the interpretation of what you could not have patience with. As for the ship, it belonged to poor people working in the sea. So I wanted to make it damaged, for there was a king behind them who took every ship by force. As for the boy, his parents were believers, so we feared that he would oppress them through tyranny and disbelief. So we wanted their Lord to replace them with something better than him in purity and closer to mercy. As for the wall, it belonged to two orphan boys in the city, and under it was a treasure belonging to them. And their father was righteous, so your Lord intended that they reach maturity and extract their treasure as a mercy from your Lord. And what I did about my command, that is the interpretation of what you could not have patience with. And they ask you about al-Qarnayn, say, I will recite to you a mention of him. We established him on earth, and we gave him a means of everything. So he followed away, until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it setting in a muddy spring, and he found a people by it. We said, O al-Qarnayn, either they will be punished, or you will treat them well. He said, As for whoever wronged, we will punish him. Then he will be returned to his Lord, and he will punish him with a terrible punishment. And as for he who believes and does righteousness, he will have the best reward, and we will say to him an ease word of our command. Then he followed away, until when he reached the rising of the sun, he found it rising on a people for whom we had not provided a shelter for it. So it was, we have full knowledge of all that he has news. Then he followed away, until when he reached between the two dams. He finds a people besides them who can hardly understand a word. They said, O Dhul Karnain, that Gog and Magog are causing mischief in the land. So shall we make for you an income on condition that you make a barrier between us and them? He said, What my Lord has empowered me with is good, so help me with strength, so that I will make a barrier between them and you. Bring me blocks of iron until if it is even between the two sides. He said, Blow it, until when it makes it fire. He said, Bring me molten copper to pour drops of it on it. They could not go over it, and they could not dig it. He said, This is a mercy from my Lord. So when the promise of my Lord comes true, he will level it to ground, and the promise of my Lord will be true. And we left some of them on that day undulating among each other, and the trumpet will be blown, then we will gather them together. And we will show hell that day to the unbelievers, those whose eyes were covered from my remembrance and they could not hear. Do those who disbelieve think that they can take my servants as allies besides me? Indeed, we have prepared hell for the disbelievers as an abode. Say, shall we inform you of the losers in deeds? Those whose efforts go astray in the life of this world while they think that they are doing well. Those are the ones who disbelieved in the signs of their Lord and his meeting. So their deeds were in vain, so we will not assign to them any weight on the day of resurrection. That is their recompense of hell, because they disbelieved and took my verses and my messengers in jest. Indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds will have the gardens of paradise for their lodging. They will abide therein, and they do not seek any change from it. Say, if the sea were ink to write for the words of my Lord, the sea would run out before the words of my Lord run out, even if we had brought again the same amount. Say, I am but a human being like you. It is revealed to me that your God is one God, so whoever hopes to meet his Lord, let him do righteous deeds and not associate any partner in worshipping his Lord.